Carla. Carla?
Hi.
Carla?
Yeah?
Carla?
Yes?
Oh, just testing the audio. I'm going to turn the mics off until it's just before 6.
Oh, okay.
We can hear you here in...
on, but I could see you running around, but I didn't see anybody else. So I figured we were busy.
We can hear and see you, so that's good.
Okay.
Thanks.
I gotta mute now.
Hey, Carla.
Bruce? Bruce?
Yes?
Bruce?
Yes?
Test. Test.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Bruce, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, we can hear and see you. I'm gonna turn the mics off now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you hear me, Emma?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. I probably would look funny, though. I'm laying down in ice.
Sure. Okay, I'm gonna turn the mics off.
Let's see.
Okay, where's the...
Guess I could do... Mm-hmm. 6 participants. I'm in a practice session, it says.
Mm, good, good, good.
So,
And elevated too, right?
yeah.
Resting. There we go.
If you guys can talk.
Emma, it says on my Zoom that I'm in a practice session.
Yeah, I'll start it right now. Thanks.
All right. Welcome. And can those remotely hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, welcome to the October 3rd meeting of Soquel Creek Water District Board of Directors. We have, I am assuming, a roll call first, correct?
Correct.
Director Balboni. Here. Director LaHue.
Here.
Director Lather.
Present.
Vice President Jaffe.
I'm on Zoom.
And President Christensen.
On Zoom.
Thank you.
Emma, just for the record, I just wanted to note that President Christensen is appearing remotely from a private location for just cause as permitted by Government Code Section 54953. In addition, Director Jaffe is participating from a private meeting location under the same section for just cause. President Christensen is due to a contagious illness and Director Jaffe is due to a physical disability. I will now ask them if there's anyone over the age of 18 in the room with them, and if so, a general description of their relationship to that person.
On my part, no. There's no other person.
Nobody else in the room with me.
All right, thank you both. We can move forward.
Okay. Thank you. So actually, the first item is for us to adjourn to a closed session. If anyone has public comment regarding the closed session, now would be a good time.
There we go. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Becky Steinbruner. I am the petitioner taking proper action against the district and a couple of things, all of which are related to the Pure Water Soquel project. And what I see is a lot of violations regarding CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act. Again, I want to just repeat that I don't want to do this, but it is the only way that anyone from the public can challenge an environmental project, especially one of the magnitude of the Pure Water Soquel project and all of its modifications, which have been major, and in my opinion, have not been properly addressed to allow public comment and have not adequately analyzed the adverse and significant environmental effects. So I do want to let you know that I was able to obtain a copy, finally, of the final anti-degradation analysis from the State Water Resources Control Board. And I have a lot of questions still about that. But what remains problematic is that there has never been any collaboration with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, as is required by law. And I've spoken to you before about the Laurel Street Bridge and the negative impacts on the swallows. And what it concerns me now is the seismic impact of having those large pipes on both sides of the Laurel Street Bridge, but also only on one side of the Porter Street Bridge. So again, I'm taking this action because I'm concerned about the environment, the impacts on the people, and I care. Thank you.
So we are going to adjourn to closed session. For those of you that are waiting to speak on items not on tonight's agenda, oral communications will be after that. So we'll have closed session and the consent agenda, and then the oral and written communication. So as soon as the closed session is done, we can let you know.
He's been informed also before the meeting.
What?
The gentleman was informed of that similar.
Got it. Yeah, I know, Jim. Yeah. Just want to make sure. Yeah, no, that's. Sorry about that. We're going. Check.
Yeah. All right.
No, you can stay here. for the others to get here. Already on? Okay, great. Can you watch for that? All right, welcome back. We
Thank
just
you. There we go.
we are coming out of closed session with no
It was
reportable
intentional. Can you hear me?
action. The meeting has started again for those of you on Zoom. Okay, and then let's see if I can get back to my agenda. Okay, we had no public hearing, and now would be time for board members to have the opportunity to remove items from
Did you
the.
say something, Carla?
I coughed.
Sorry,
I
Carla
can't hear
and
you.
Bruce, can you hear?
I am here.
Okay, we're
I'm
back
off-
in
I'm off
open
mute,
session.
too. Yeah.
Still not hearing you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I can hear you, Carla.
I don't
think
think
Director
Dr.
Jaffe may not
Jaffe
be
can
hearing
hear.
us.
Oh, I wonder if it's me. Let me try.
Will you make sure we've got them appropriately notified that we're. Director Jaffe, you okay? Can you hear us?
Maybe I didn't hang up the phone.
Okay.
Oh,
Bruce, you with us?
yeah, I just had inadvertently lowered my volume.
Okay, so we are back in open session now. And so now we are just, we have no public hearing. And so now is an opportunity for anyone on the board to remove any items from the consent agenda. Anything from you, Bruce, or Carla?
Nothing for me.
Rochelle? No?
No.
Okay, and then before we proceed to have any motions, then there's an opportunity for public, if anybody wants to speak on the item on the consent agenda as a whole.
I do, thank you. My name is Becky Steinbruner. On item 4.2, the calendar, I request that these important issues that are scheduled for November 21st, the rate study final rate proposal, be instead reviewed at the beginning of the month when the November 7th meeting is actually canceled. And the reason for that is because November 21st is right before Thanksgiving. This is a pretty big topic, and I think that it would be kinder to the public to hear it earlier in the month rather than right before the Thanksgiving holiday when many people probably are out of town. And like also following in that, the agenda for December 5th looks wide open. But then again, right before the Christmas holiday, there is the final rate authorization. And again, that's pushing really important things very close to a holiday. And so on behalf of the public, I request that these important issues be heard earlier in the month rather than right before the holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Right,
I'm going to comment on that.
Oh, yes, Bruce.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Becky. And I have faith in our staff that they are scheduling things as early as possible. And I am going to make the assumption that there's work that needs to be done so that they cannot schedule those items earlier. But thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Okay.
Director Leahy,
Yeah, yes.
sorry to interrupt. Just
Raised hand.
Josh Nelson reminded me that we need to ask as well for each item. So is there any public member on the Zoom that would like to speak on the consent agenda?
Separately from asking the public here? Okay.
If so, please raise your hand.
No raised hands?
No raised hands.
Okay. Okay, then we can entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll move approval.
Let's see, I
The
heard
agenda.
Bruce and you at the same time.
And I'll second.
All right, so moved by Director Jaffe, seconded by Director Lather. All right, roll call, please.
Director Balboni, Director Leahy,
Yes.
Director Lather,
Yes.
Vice President Jaffe,
Yes.
and President Christensen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now is the time for anyone who wishes to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda. Mr. Latore.
Thank you for your time. My name's Jim Latore. I live at the corner of Capitola Avenue and Beverly. It's a wonderful location. However, it's a rather busy intersection. And so decided that it might be a good idea to build a garage. So I went through the process, and I'm in the process of building a garage right now, and was kind of asked perhaps to add an ADU by others, including my wife and family, because our house is a one-bedroom house virtually. So when family and friends come over, it'd be a nice place to stay. So I thought it was a really good idea, and heard that there was going to be some leeway in terms of looking for more housing in Capitola and easing up on the ADU thing. So went forward with that. At the time of applying, I did have to get a conditional or a non-conditional use permit from you, which I did, and I was told that there was some additional things that I would have to be doing. I was in such a excitement about getting my permits, I didn't really necessarily look into costs or anything like that, but I'm at that point now. I turned all my paperwork in, and I just wanted the board to understand, I was given a list of, I was told that I needed to put in a new, what are the meter? I don't know why, but I was told because it's an ADU and it's a separate living location that I'd have to do that. So I went down and talked to people, and they gave me a really nice little flow chart on all the things that I needed to do. I began calling the 5 people that were on the list of approved contractors to do the work. To date, I've only received one. The bid is $18,000 because Soquel Creek Water isn't doing the meter installations anymore. I had to get a separate person to do that. George Wilson. There's another person on the list that I contacted. They gave me a verbal bid of $9,800. The other 2 people, 2 of the others haven't responded. And the 5th one on the list is a company that is no longer doing it. I was also told that if I don't use one of the approved lists, I would
there's a 3-minute limit on this, and I don't know if you want to just summarize with what you're
Sure.
asking.
So-
So maybe process-wise, if they can
Yeah,
agendize it for future.
I'm sorry. The bottom line is that in order for me to get water, which is already there, I had a garage there before I tore it down. I already have water there. It's currently 6 feet away from my house. I don't see a real need to have another meter. I'm still going to be paying for water. I only have a 1-bedroom house. I got the bill from Soquel Creek Water on top of this, and it's $13,000. So I just believe that $32,000 to get a meter and water to my house is a little bit extravagant. And I would like for you guys as a board to kind of maybe take a look at that and see if it's something that that can be eased up a little bit. I can plumb a whole house for $35,000, so it's kind of crazy. So
Maybe we can have, maybe clarify that with staff, clarify what this particular situation is. I mean, the tendency of the board is that we tend to try and treat everybody equally. So we just always have to be fair with everyone. So,
Yeah, staff has been working with him. We believe what he's requesting would require a policy change, but certainly understand the frustration because the way the regulations work, if it's a new, it excludes some from having to get meters and then others it does not, and he falls into the does not category.
So, as I understand it, the garage that I had there previously didn't meet the arbitrary number. I mean, it was only 300 and some odd feet, and I'm adding 500 feet. Around the corner, another guy did the very same thing, didn't need a meter.
we can't keep going on here. with
I'm-
that. I think we'll just have to,
We'll continue to work with him.
continue to work with staff because we're going to, unless we change a policy, we have to apply it equally.
So I have a question. Is this
Okay.
all because of the timing of when this happened relative to the laws with ADUs?
I don't know that. All I know is that the policy goes back to 2002. I think it's a little old, 21 years later.
I'm just saying when issues like this come up, if there's a variance request or a specific, then we would get the background information and we would also have in front of us
Okay.
kind of what all the policies are rather than trying to do it on the fly with a 3-minute comment.
And that's where I was going to go. Is there a variance opportunity for me?
I recommend that I work with the board president to see whether they want to agendize this item.
Okay.
And go from there.
That sounds good. Yeah, just so
As a variance request or informational.
okay.
Yeah, I would love that.
All right.
And in the future, I think it would be a good idea just to look at the policy and see how.
Well, and I would want to have that all in front of me, you know?
I get it,
Yeah.
guys, and I
Yeah.
know there's a time limit. Thank you
Me
for your
too,
time.
and
I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It,
I'll work with you.
without knowing the details, it sounds
Wait.
to me like
Excuse
we
me.
should do this.
What was that?
What was that, Bruce?
Look at it. Without knowing the details, it sounds like, just like you're saying, Tom, this is something where we need more information.
Right.
And I trust that Carla and Ron will determine whether there should be a variance request or what the right course of action is.
More information. But thanks for bringing it up.
Yes, yeah. Congratulations, Granddad.
Yeah, thanks.
On your trip to Turkey.
All right. Any other members of the public?
Becky Steinbruner, I'm hopeful that this issue that the gentleman just brought up will be an agenda item in the future, especially given the county and city of Santa Cruz, city of Capitola, all the cities actually, but Capitola in your district, updating their housing elements. The state Housing and Community Development Department has more than tripled the number of units that these municipalities each are being required to build. So it's prudent that you review this policy quickly. Thank you. I'm glad he brought it up. What I want to ask you about is I am surprised that your board is not publicly discussing the very important permit that is open for public comment right now, two of them for the Pure Water Soquel project. One is regarding the injection wells, and the public comment time with Regional Water Quality Control Board ends October 11th, and then the next day, October 12th, is the permitting for the pollution permit, discharge permit related to the Santa Cruz City wastewater outflow. I have read through these documents, and it disturbs me that the district is planning to inject treated wastewater that would have what I consider a pretty high level of nitrate. And it is 3.5 milligrams per liter in the product water that would be injected into our aquifer when the aquifer's ambient nitrate level is 0.06 milligrams per liter. So given two things, that direct potable reuse is likely to be approved by the state, possibly by the end of this year, wherein you could not have to inject that stuff into the aquifer and worry about arsenic and all of that, as well as other contaminants. You could put it directly into your customer service lines and sell it. The second thing is that I was really happy to see last night at the Santa Cruz City Water Commission's presentation of projects that they are doing phenomenal work to upgrade their facilities so that they can take water, more water, when it is turbid and we have a lot of it, and treat it, and they could be sending it to you. They could be banking it, you could be banking it, and injecting potable water rather than treated sewage water into our aquifer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so any comments from the Zoom on oral communications? Any raised hands?
I see no raised hands.
Thank you, Emma. All right, then we will go to item 7.2. There's no reports. And so that we go to the contract agreement.
Good evening, board members, President Christensen. I wanted to present tonight to the board a consideration for ratifying the tentative agreement for the Memorandum of Understanding between the district and the Service Employees International Union, SEIU Local 521. As you know, we've been negotiating with the union for a number of months now, and tonight we're presenting a resolution 2310, which would allow the board to ratify the agreement that has already been ratified by the union on September 21st. The board took, or excuse me, the union membership took a vote and ratified the tentative agreement. So the terms of the agreement are contained in the memo that you have before you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have in regards to those terms.
Questions? No? No? Any questions from our board members on Zoom?
No, we've been following this closely for many months, so glad to see it come to a vote now.
Okay, is there any public comment on this item? Any public comment on Zoom?
I see no raised hands.
Okay. There's a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll move.
Who said that?
Carla.
Okay. All right.
I'll second.
All right. Yep. All right. Roll call, please.
Director Balboni?
Yes.
Director LaHue?
Yes, and thank you to the negotiators and on both sides, and to Tracy, and nice to have a contract in place. And I think we provide a good place for people to work. you know.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Director Lather,
Yes.
Vice President Jaffe,
And I would also like to thank the parties involved in coming up with a fair contract. And I believe we've been successful at providing our employees with a contract that they are happy with. So yes.
and President Christensen.
Yes, and thank you again very much for all the hard work getting this to this point.
Okay, so that passes unanimously. And we will go to item 7.3, which is for the mid-management group.
Item 7.3 is before you tonight to consider ratifying the tentative agreement that the district has with the mid-management employee group. That's an unrepresented group. The management team has been meeting with the mid-management group since June. Their contract expired in July. And we came to tentative agreement, and the membership voted on September 13th to ratify. And it's presented to you tonight. The terms of the new agreement are presented to you tonight for consideration for ratifying on the district side. Again, this is a 3-year agreement through 2026, July of 2026.
Great, questions? On Zoom, questions?
No.
Okay.
No, we've been following this one also.
Okay.
Glad to see it ready to go.
Any public comment on this? None in person, on Zoom?
I see no raised hands.
Okay. Well, I'll move approval of this resolution.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Director Balboni,
Yes.
Director LeHue,
Yes.
Director Lather,
Yes.
Vice President Jaffe,
Once again, thank you to everyone involved with negotiations. And once again, I think that the contract is something that our employees are happy with. And I think it's very fair in that it's very similar to the other contract. Yes.
and President Christensen.
Yes, and thank you again too for the very professional work.
Okay, great. That passes unanimously. Now we'll move on to item 7.4, which is the general manager's employment agreement. And is there an introduction on that, or?
I'm here to answer any questions or
Okay. Any questions, comments from board members? Bruce or Carla?
Yeah, I'd just like to make the comment, publicly that Ron has done a exceptional job at being our general manager in complicated times, and I just want to thank him for his leadership. And the district is running well, and it starts at the top. So thank you, Ron.
thank you very much.
Yeah, that level of commitment to get us through times of very, very important, getting a supplemental supply while also keeping everything else rolling, and that all that extra work is much appreciated. Now,
I'd be remiss not to say, I may be the general manager, but I think y'all very well know that the team that is with me. So,
we've got a good team, and whenever there's been an assessment of your leadership, though, it's been from the team. They've been very supportive, and so I think we want to bring you, have it be fair to the amount of work, and when we look at other general managers of an organization of this size with this amount of work going on, we want your contract that should have it started again I think, July 1st. And so it goes until June 30th of next year. But I think what I'm proposing is an increase of 4.5% to your salary going back to that July 1st or June 30th date.
If that's a motion, I second it.
Okay, that's a motion. Discussion and public comment too. Yeah,
I lost track. That was the motion, okay.
it was.
Did somebody second it? Oh, you
Uh-huh,
did.
I
Bruce
did, Bruce.
Okay.
And
I'm
you're good?
Yeah.
And
We need public comment, though.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Any public comment?
Yeah.
Both in person first and then see if we have anything online.
Thank you, Becky Steinbruner. So I didn't see any documentation, and then suddenly I hear your motion that it would be a 4.5% increase in salary retroactive to July 1 of 2023. Is that correct?
Correct.
And is that what was discussed in closed session? Because those things are not supposed to be discussed in closed session. But how did you come up with that number?
We've been thinking about it, and we want to be fair with the kind of general inflation area at least, so and plus the amount of work he's had.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell me what the cost, the CPI for this area is, or what the district considers in other?
Go ahead and make your comments.
Oh. Okay, thank you. There was just no information at all in the packet, and I'd like to understand it better. Thank you.
Any public comment on the Zoom call?
It looks like the public member dropped off.
Oh, okay. So that's a no. Okay. Roll call, please, then.
Director Balboni,
Yes.
Director LaHue,
Yes.
Director Lather,
Yes.
Vice President Jaffe,
Yes.
and President Christensen.
Yes.
Okay.
Just wanna
That
say I'm
passes
grateful.
unanimously. Thank you, Ron. Item 7.5 is about district staffing. So who's got that? Tracy?
Back to me. Good evening again. I'm presenting agenda item 7.5 tonight for the board to consider a new position, Associate Manager of Water Resources. As the memo indicates, this position is actually one of the very first positions when we started inquiring with other agencies in embarking upon looking at the Pure Water Soquel model of a position that would more than likely be needed as part of moving forward in the administration of having a purification plant online that has a number of different components and partnerships to come back into our system. And we've talked a lot about this position agency-wide at the executive level, and recognizing more and more discovery that we've had with other agencies that there really does need to be a very specific high-level point person to work with all of the details with Pure Water Soquel once it's online and on board with our contractor who will be running the plant, as well as the City of Santa Cruz wastewater treatment plant, and all the peripherals that come into our source. So this position is being presented for you tonight to consider at the associate manager level. The position would be part of the Water Resources Department. As you'll know, and you might recall, last December, we made some changes to our own organizational structure, anticipating what we would need to be geared up for and have our arrows pointed toward with Pure Water Soquel, and we changed the department conservation customer service field to Water Resources. This was a position that was contemplated in being a part of that department moving forward. And it is actually, we did put that in the budget for this year that you've already considered and approved. So we're asking for you tonight to approve the job description for Associate Manager Water Resources. I've included the organizational chart so you can see where that falls within our organizational structure, as well as the proposed salary schedule placement for this mid-management position. Happy to answer any questions.
I have a question about timing and mainly that, like, when do you foresee filling this position?
If the board approves the position tonight, I anticipate posting that position tomorrow. So recruitment has been pretty tricky lately. We have had a real hit and miss over the last number of years with recruitments. We've had pretty good recruitments the last couple that we've had, but it's been an interesting job market. And so I think the sooner we can get that out and advertised and put the word out, that the better off we'll be in order to get a good, strong candidate or group of candidates coming forward for the position.
Okay, questions?
I had one.
Yes, Bruce.
So, in looking at the packet, page 45 of 156, where it compares the salaries, it looks the salary for the new position is higher than some of the other people at the same level on the org chart. Do I have that right, or am I misreading it?
Correct. We aligned this position with the associate civil engineer position based upon the scope of responsibility and the level of work that this person will be responsible for. We didn't feel that it rose to the level of a full manager, but it definitely does require high-level management skills. And so we aligned that with our associate civil engineer salary.
It looks like it's higher. No, it's about the same. Actually, I'm sorry. I was misreading the columns, so that it is exactly the same. Okay. That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay.
Any public comment on this item?
No, I have a question also.
Carla.
I looked at the range of requirements that were listed, and I just wondered what would be considered, what would you consider the most important qualifications, because it's a very wide-ranging list of responsibilities.
Are you talking about in the experience and education section specifically, Carla?
Yeah, and then just, and the ability, and the abilities. I was just wondering, what's the primary focus of the position? In other words, is it more of an engineering position, or is it more of an administrative position?
It's more of an administrative position. So I think Ron.
Yeah, I mean, just a little background. Tracy and I have over a year been interviewing other agencies that nobody, every agency does it slightly different. And that's why it was hard to nail this one down specifically. But yeah, as the essence of the job, the way I see it, and it may evolve a little bit, but I think Tracy's captured it perfectly. But it's kind of a coordinator of, all things pure water. So that central hub of making sure, the contractor running the facility is doing what they're supposed to, getting what they're supposed to per the contract, water permits, requirements, making sure we're hearing all that and everything. I'm sure Melanie can chime in a little bit more, but I view it as I go through all these contracts as kind of a central hub, just making sure we're following through on everything, coordinating. Okay, Melanie says she thinks Tracy and I captured it, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm interested to see who applies. Great.
Yeah, it's a big job.
Yeah.
Okay, any public comment on this item? Okay.
Thank you. Becky Steinbrunner. I attended a lot of your board special meetings that you held in the year or so before you finalized the Pure Water Soquel project. And I remember you talking about a design, build, operate process. And I think that's what you agreed to do, is to do a design, build, operate. So is this position then sort of superfluous if you've got operators that are already sort of in the pipeline with the design, build, operate model? I know being a manager is a lot different than the person actually operating, but it seems like it's worth time, especially given the salary levels, that you review that and discuss that with your contractor. Maybe they have someone that would be capable of taking on this job, but I think it's worth looking at, and to hire them now when the project is not going to be, as I understand it, operational until a year from now, I think is a little curious. Thank you.
Just clarify that the project, at least for the treatment facility, is not a design, build, operate.
Say that again.
Ms. Steinbruner made a statement related to the project being design, build, and operate, which is not the case.
The designer is not building it and operating it.
Right, there is the company that's
Third party.
going to be an operator was consulted during design so that it's practical design. And so,
But it's not a DBO, a design, build, operate.
right. But just to
There is a
clarify
third
that.
party.
And then you always, just because you have somebody operating a plant doesn't mean that they're coordinating everything related to that, including the source water and all that. So, all right, anyway, we still do not have any Zoom members online, public members, okay? Discussion or motions?
Is that? Oh,
Carla?
okay. I'll move to approve the position.
Okay,
I'll second.
Oh, you beat me.
okay. You got that, Emma? All right, roll call?
Director Balboni,
Yes.
Director LaHue,
Yes.
Director Lather,
Yes.
Vice President Jaffe,
Yes.
and President Christensen.
Yes.
Okay, now there's an informational item on the water affordability study.
Yes, and is Leslie Strom online? I can't see.
Yes.
I am.
Okay, Leslie, so if you want, I'll take the lead, or you can, however you want to do this. I know we co-wrote this.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, then you chime in where you see fit, and I miss things. Thank you. So I'll just give a quick intro. This study was done a couple years ago, but we brought it back in January, just as a heads up as we started the rate process. And it was a study done throughout the county of wastewater and water agencies looking at the affordability. And it's a pretty long study, but I think the take-homes are that, well, the real take-home is to look at the maps of affordability for the water agencies, and you can see it's all color-coded, how we are in comparison to our neighbors, for example. And then, but the key is the evaluation done for Soquel and the numbers there. And I think we present the essence of that in the report. I can certainly talk about it if you like. But I think it's there, and I know the board reads it. Basically, it's a pretty favorable study toward the affordability, and affordability is comprised of two factors: the cost of water, and then divided into the numerator, the median household income. I think what's important, though, is also to note that not everybody is captured in that, in that medium income. And so if you look at tables 57, 58, 59 on pages 53 and 54 of the study, the study, not of the yeah. Yeah. They kind of show, you know, the more extremes there too, which I think is important. I think he just went by it. Yeah. So page 53, 54 of the study, not the, yeah, look at the bottom. Yeah. So I think those are important. And really, we just wanted, Leslie and I thought it was important to bring it back in front of the board tonight, just as we start moving forward through the rate process. We will bring this to our Water Rates Advisory Committee also. I think it's important knowledge for them to know and understand. So Leslie, would you like to contribute anything to that presentation?
Well, just to make it easy to understand those maps for the public listening as well. Blue and green are really good scores. That indicates that water is highly affordable in those areas. As you get higher, the red means it is becoming more unaffordable.
Yeah, and I'll add that map, thank you, Leslie, that map right there, I believe, brings in the septic systems. And
Correct.
part of the reason it becomes less affordable if you look at septic is because what they did in the study, this is an economist out of Berkeley, M Cubed, they, I believe they amortize, you know, septic systems generally aren't up to speed and they're not good for the groundwater. So there's laws now where you need to update those. And so they amortize the cost of that. I think it was about 50 grand across time.
The entire replacement of the septic system is what they amortized, a full grade replacement.
Yeah, and not just replacement, but upgrade, right?
Yeah.
To meet the new land laws. So, but we're water, and you know we do care about the overall expense to our customers also. But I just want to point that out, that's where you see red. That's due to usually septic for the most part. And go back up a little bit to that. I think the take-home map is that one right there. As Leslie said, blue is good. You know, I don't know if you see any red on that. I'd have to put my glasses on. But I think that's sufficient. And there is other information I can talk about, the costs and that sort of thing, if that's of interest. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't clear on when they said that it was adjusted for, they somehow accounted for housing costs, you know, in their economic analysis. Like, but I don't know how they did that, and maybe you guys don't know either.
Yeah, I'd have to look back at the
Okay.
study,
Right.
answer that question.
Any comments, questions? This is informational only.
Yes, thank you for bringing this to us.
Mhm.
I found it very useful study. The executive summary had some very good information about and concepts that I think will be applicable to our new rate structure. The essential indoor use, they give a number for what's essential indoor use. I use 35 gallons per person per day. And I think that concept will be important when we set our rate schedule. And I also, there was parts of the report talking about what's going on in terms of ways to help those that the water is not as affordable. How, you know, what different bills there are to legislation there are to to assist for assistance. And I know Leslie has been updating us on that periodically, but it was useful for me to see, you know, how this in the report. And besides what, you know, they had for Soquel Creek Water District, in Appendix A, there was a very nice comparison between the different agencies. And again, it's been given, you know, to us multiple times, but it was succinct, you know, and I found it useful comparing, like page 151, the meter charges, and seen it for all the different agencies. Taken away one or give away two. And this is, probably dated somewhat because it was 2021 when this was done, but just the different, they call it water supplier commodity rates. And, seeing which ones are doing tiers, which agencies aren't, and probably something that our staff is very familiar with, but it's good for me to see it in a table and be reminded of where we are relative to the other agencies. So I found it very useful, and I think some of the concepts in here will be useful when we set our rate structure in the coming months.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. Carla, do you have anything? You're muted.
Bad me. I support what Bruce is saying, especially, things will have changed between when the study, which was a very thorough study, and I recommend everybody read it. But it, it will change, and so there is going to be a little bit more pressure on our customer base because, we're feeling increased prices in every commodity, not just water. So, but it is good to keep that in mind, and also to keep some perspective that we're starting out on we've been pretty good at keeping costs down. So it's just, our aim is to keep water affordable and pay our bills to keep the water flowing. So it's, so that's all.
Okay, thanks. Jennifer, Rochelle, anything?
One more thing, Tom.
Yep, Bruce.
I did ask Ron what our contribution in terms of funding for the study was.
Yeah.
And
yes, and I can address that.
I didn't ask it now.
Okay, I certainly can address that. So, this was a study that the Regional Water Management Foundation headed up through the IRM process. And the total study was $78,000. Our portion was $14,000, the Soquel Creek Water District. And it was all the agencies pitched in. And DWR, Integrated Regional Water Management Grant of $32,000. So that partially helped offset the cost and really more geared toward the disadvantaged communities such as down in Watsonville. So again, our cost contribution was $14,000.
Money well spent. Very useful information.
Okay, public comment on this item.
Thank you, Becky Steinbruner. There are also pockets of disadvantaged communities within your service district, and the maps show that. So don't forget about them. They're not all in Watsonville. They're in your service district too. And I think it's important that the study really, the map that you put up there with all blue, I think is deceptive, because later on in the study, when it talks about how when you add in the cost of septic and sewer, it really changes the paradigm. And a lot of red shows up in the Soquel Creek Water District area. If you look at page 116 of the agenda packet and 117, you'll see there are big pockets of financial burden when those two things are examined. So I'm glad that the study is old because the LAMP has been approved since that. And what the LAMP, the county's on-site water treatment septic thing does is it identified big pockets of your service area that if people want to do anything at all with their home, they have to install those advanced treatment systems, and those are expensive. The study was very good about pointing that out, that those costs were not considered in this study, but they are there now. I also want to point out to you that on page 127, 130, and 133, it states a count of dwellings in Soquel Creek Water District service area as 18,800. And that does not comport with what it said initially and what I've always seen on your website. On page 110, it says 14,400. Where did those 4,000 other units
Time is
come
up.
from? Thank you so much.
Okay, well, that item was informational only. Thank you for bringing it forward. Let's see if there's any. Oh, you did. You're right. Sorry, Michelle. I was looking right at you and then something happened.
Zoom erupted.
You did.
I was just wondering if there was a way to just update it to, our current charges, because it's kind of, for me, it was kind of a little confusing to see.
I believe that it had our rates, we had them in place at the time and projected. So if I remember correctly, they had those. I'm not sure Santa Cruz had updated their rates, so they may have been a little outdated. And it doesn't have future rate increases in there. I thought about trying to do if we could incorporate future rates into this, but I think there's more to it than that. Their people's income has gone up, and it starts to become back to the economists.
You have to look at the median household income, which has gone up, but it's easy to look up.
We could probably get a little heuristic, a little rule of thumb kind of thing if we wanted to, without a full say.
Yeah, the sewer district's gone up.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Carla?
Oh, I was just saying some of the high cost in our district appears to be concentrated in people who are receiving water from the district, but are on a septic system. So it's kind of like they are stretching. They do have a hard time.
Yeah, I think what that graph actually shows is that the financial burden isn't necessarily being placed on them for their water.
No.
It's their sewer costs that are disproportionately onerous on the homeowners. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also, the cost for the septic systems is the impending regulations, and requirements that they will have to upgrade their systems, which is also important for our environment. And it's such a widespread issue that, it's probably worth exploring whether state aid or, some assistance might be available for that upgrade of septic systems.
Or connection to our system. Or the sewer
Well, I mean, in
system.
terms
Not
of
our system, but to the sewer system.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like
I think
more cost effective to be in a centralized septic wastewater treatment system.
Yeah.
The sewer district, there's people on septic. Just like in our district, there's people on wells. Yeah. Just because it's in the district doesn't mean they're connected. And so there's like this hodgepodge of 0, 1, 1, 0, or 1, 1.
Yeah, and I'll say, this area, the San Lorenzo Valley, and probably like parts of Aptos, I know the San Lorenzo Valley is one of the most highly densified septic areas. And that's why water agencies don't like it. I mean, City of Santa Cruz has done testing. You see the septic leaking into the, the water supply. And so, personally, I think it's a good move by the state to try to rectify some of that. I'm sure.
When I was on the regional water board, that was a big problem then, and it still is. So many septic systems, affecting the San Lorenzo River. But maybe the state will work on funding to help people get connected to the sewer system, which is going to be, in the long run, much cheaper.
Right.
Okay.
Just a quick comment
Yes.
addressing Becky Steinbrenner's comment. That 18,000 number was for dwelling units, not for hookups. So that's why it's a different number than the 14,000 that we always talk about.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Okay, well then, this meeting is adjourned, and our next meeting will be October 17th.
Thank you.
Thank you, and
All
good
right.
night.